We love having you with us every week. Our guest today is Hannah, very best friend of our own Trina. We're so excited you could be with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. So before, I don't want to forget that our closeout music, we want to thank to Daryl Buchanan for our closeout music is We Have Jesus by Daryl Buchanan, and you can get a copy of that on iTunes or darylbuchanan.net. So thanks so much to Daryl for that. I'm kind of like losing my which camera to look at today, guys. Sorry. Went on vacation, a little out of practice. So anyway, but thanks for watching. And so if you've never tuned in before to Life Inspired, what we're going to do, we're going to talk to Hannah and ask her some questions about, hey, I understand, your life was going along. There was a ... moment in your life that God kind of turned your trajectory to a new direction. And you're going to tell us how you're walking inspired now. Most people have several turning points in their life, and so what is the and then God moment that you're going to talk about? But first, a backstory to that moment. So tell us more, Hannah.
Yeah, so it's actually a really long backstory, so I won't get into too many details.
We got all the time you need, so as much as you want.
Okay, so God had really showed me my turning moment. I kind of have to say it
Sure,
first.
That's fine. That's cool.
God had showed me that I was harboring a lot of hate and anger in my life, and it mostly revolved around my family. There's a lot of background for that.
Okay.
But just like specific people that I know. Even though I said that I did not hate these people, I'd always say, oh yeah, I totally have forgiven them. I have moved on. I'm not angry. I love them. 100% I know in my heart.
You didn't feel that.
That was not the truth at all.
So did you say those things because you were trying to love them?
I don't think so. I think it was more of a, save face.
I'm supposed to
do
that.
I grew up in a Christian home, so I'm always in the church. I'm always around people that I'm like, I see them and I'm like, oh, they're so good. Like, why can't I be that good? I know I feel this thing and I know it's wrong. I know it's wrong to feel this hate, but I feel it.
Right.
And I want to be like them that aren't feeling this thing or appearing to not feel hatred or struggling with whatever their sin is,
Right.
But I guess I just couldn't see that they're also struggling with something.
Right.
So I think it was more of a faking it, safe face. It wasn't I'm really trying to feel this. It was like I want to feel this kind of, but really I just want you to believe that I feel this.
Right. So tell us about the backstory. How did you get to where you had so much anger?
Yeah, so this is a little weird to talk about because I don't even know that the person that I felt this towards knows about it, but my sister she ran away at 14.
Okay.
But she didn't fully run away. She moved in with my grandparents who lived down the street, so I saw her all the time, but she lived with them for a couple of years.
She's older or younger than you?
She is 4 years older than me.
Okay.
So I was 10, she was 14, and she ran away. And then 2 years after that, she moved in with my cousin and my cousin's husband. And there was a weird situation going on there where she wasn't supposed to be around him necessarily. But she moved in with them nonetheless. And I think through that, she's my older sister. I felt very abandoned. And I blamed him. So I harbored a lot of hate to him. Okay. And I didn't really know how to deal with that, especially I was 10 years old. That's hard.
Right.
It was kind of tearing apart my family. It still is. My family can't sit in the same room together. Or my extended.
So many families can't.
Yeah. So it was just a lot of I felt like I had this perfect family and now it's gone. And my sister's gone. And I feel like it's all revolving around this one guy. So I hated him very much.
Right.
And honestly, until senior year of college, I still did. I would always say, no, I definitely don't hate him. I have forgiven him long ago. I really did not.
But that's 10, 8 years.
Yeah, it's a significant time.
Right.
Yeah. And until senior year of college, I still was doing that whole I'm faking it till I make it. I definitely forgave him. And then I knew that wasn't true. I knew God had been dealing with me on it for a while.
Yeah, thanks, John. I've been praying about that. Need that box. Just toss it. Whoop, got it. There you go. One for you, one for me.
Yeah. I didn't think this would happen.
But you know what?
It happens.
It's
yeah.
so raw.
Yeah.
And what you're sharing, especially if you're feeling like, oh, what if somebody's watching
Yeah.
or hears this later? It's okay. This is all. It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
So senior year, God had really been dealing with me with it. He was like, Hannah,
It's time.
You need to let this go. And I was like, I've already let it go. At this point,
No,
I'm
you
lying to
haven't.
me and God. I'm not even trying to save face anymore. It's just, no, I don't want to deal with that. So
Right,
no.
right.
So then I was we have spiritual emphasis week at Bethel, which is a great week.
Cool.
It's amazing. We have chapels every morning instead of every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, which is what we normally do. And we also have chapels every night for like half the week.
Wow.
And so I was at one of those chapels. I think it was the Monday night chapel.
Okay.
And I have no idea who was speaking. I don't even think his message was relevant to what I was feeling. But whatever was happening there, God was just like, Hannah, you have to do this. So I didn't do it just then. That night I was like, okay, you're telling me to do this thing, but I don't really want to do that. So I'm going to pray about what you want me to do. The whole time I knew what it was. But I'm like, okay, I'll pray about what you want me to do. And he's just like, oh, okay, that's a step.
Right.
And so I did that, and he reminded me that I had she wasn't my mentor, but a person that I had gone to before for this kind of thing. I'd taken a kind of seminar with her before. So he reminded me of her, and I was like, okay, I'll talk to her, see what she says, see if she has anything
Right.
to add to this conversation.
Right.
So I did. I talked to her the next day at work because she came into my job all the time. I was a barista. She came in all the time and she would talk to me. So I talked to her about it, and she was like, well, let's meet tomorrow and we'll go over some stuff. And so she brought like a little workbook, and we went through some of the steps, and I don't even know if we did it that day or if it was a week later, what have you. We went through those steps, and I was finally able to like fully forgive him. And at the time, I didn't really think there was anybody else that I needed to forgive. I guess God was just like, one's enough for right now.
Right.
But so I finally forgave him, and it was just amazing. And like,
So tell us about that. What's amazing about letting go of that anger and forgiving the one that you've borne that for?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
well, it was just very freeing, because like, even though I didn't feel it like completely right away, like there was just that sense of, oh, I don't have to feel stuck because of this event that happened, or because of this person. Not even just for that specific person. For like, now I know how to do it. I don't have to do this ever again. I don't have to feel like I can't move forward because of an event or a person. So it was just very freeing in that way.
Right.
Additionally, God was also like, okay, you did that, and then like later on, not anytime like really soon, later on, he was like, okay, so you did that for them, now let's move on and do it for the other people.
And you're like,
or
what other people?
yourself. Like all of those different things that like maybe I wasn't seeing because I was so blinded. And now he's even taken it further into, okay, you've forgiven them, and that's great. You still hold a lot of anger and rage, and you let anger kind of control your life. So let's not do that. So he's been working on me with that, especially this year. He'll show me when I'm being overly aggressive or what have you, and he's like, all right, was that an okay situation? Was that an okay response to that situation? Let's work on that. And it's just like this amazing, like, you hear kind of all the time that God works in, I guess, mysterious ways, but I always expected it to be like this big moment. Oh, like, oh, you've changed. Good for you. And it's not. It's this,
Baby
he
steps.
did one thing, And then that one thing led to another thing, that other thing, and it just kept going further to where I now realize I'm a new person from what I was senior year of college, and it's been a year. But just because he's been working on me with little things,
right?
Because I wouldn't have been able to handle it if he was like, hey, all of this is wrong.
Need you to turn all right. So
Yeah.
it's like a big ship, and when the ship's going along, you don't turn a big ship like that.
Yeah.
You have to, slowly turn the ship around. So that's so cool, which tells me how important you are to the kingdom of God, that you are a really big ship on his ocean, and the impact that you're going to have in his world is just crazy that he had to turn you slowly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was definitely a process, and I mean, not a wonderful process.
Right.
So
we talk about, how do you walk inspired? What do you do? Because like you said, you heard him. You were at that chapel and you heard him, and then you've heard him since then. Some of our viewers don't know how to hear from God themselves. What do you do?
I think that's such a difficult thing, because I know everybody hears in different ways, and if I'm being honest, I can't tell you how I heard him, because it
was just kind of a knowing?
Yeah, it's just kind of there. Sometimes it's through talking to myself, I guess. There have been times where I kind of have like an argument with God, but it's like with myself, and I'll be going back and forth, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that was God. Okay, yep.
Right.
Especially when I know it's something stupid. I struggle with road rage a lot. So I'm like, I'll be angry at some driver that didn't really do anything wrong.
Right.
And there's a small voice in the back of my head that's like, Hannah, calm down. It's not a big deal.
Right.
And that I feel like for me in that moment, that's the voice of God being like, okay, Hannah, take a breath. It's okay.
Right.
Other times it's been other people talking to me. There's been multiple times where I might be struggling to see something, and I have a wonderful community, and that's really who I go to. Wonderful friends like Trina and John and our mutual friend Emmy. Wonderful people that I go to with all my problems, and I just kind of unload it on them. And sometimes it's through them, and God's like, okay, well, you're not hearing me right now, so I'm going to have them say it to you. Maybe you'll get it then. So he's spoken to me in so many different ways that I don't even know how I would say, this is a way.
Right.
Because I don't know.
Because it's just been different
it's
every
just
time.
so different.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of viewers that might also struggle with maybe road rage or maybe some bitterness or whatever. Do you have any advice that you want to share, that you would say, hey, I don't know, just recommendations for what they can do to try and pursue that forgiveness that you found?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm like an expert on the topic, but I know for me, the reason it was so hard to forgive and to let go was that anger and that bitterness had been a part of me for years. It was so long that I didn't know who I was without it. I was afraid to let it go because I was afraid I would lose a part of me. So until I realized that, like, yes, it is a part of you, but it's not a good part. Until I realized that that's something I've been holding that shouldn't be there.
Right.
I wasn't willing to let it go because I was afraid to let it go. And so my general philosophy is don't let fear rule your life, because fear is not of God. We're told it's not.
Right.
So if you're letting fear rule your life, then you're probably doing something wrong. So holding on to that part of me because I was afraid was letting fear rule my life, which is letting the devil in and letting him do that.
Wow.
And then I also have to remember, even when I struggle with it now, that God has to remind me multiple times that I forgave you, and if I can forgive you, you can forgive others. Like, it's not up to you.
Right.
Let it go.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know for some people, you can forgive yourself. So sometimes they need to forgive others, sometimes they need to forgive themselves.
Yeah.
I know I do. a lot.
Yeah.
Ask anybody that lives with me or works with me. So anyway, well, Facebook and YouTube and people that are watching on inspiredhomes.com, we just thank you so much for tuning in every week. There are ways to message us on any one of those 3 sites. You can just message us here if you want to connect and maybe have coffee with Hannah. I know she would do that.
Yes.
And talk to you about her story some more, or maybe talk to you about your story. Or if you know somebody else that needs to sit on this couch, we want to hear from you about those things. Or if you want to share this with somebody, now that we're on YouTube, or you can just catch it from inspiredhomes.com, you don't have to have Facebook to connect. You can just, copy the link in your browser and, email it to a friend or text it to a friend that you think needs to hear this story. So thank you guys, and y'all have a great weekend. We love having you, and remember, God is just glorious, and He loves you. So thanks, guys. Yay.
Yes, we have Jesus from a spirit in heaven.